The fight for our planet cannot be a war on the poor. Hola, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Kaylee, and I'm here in this urban wetland in Concepción, Chile. Today, I'm here to pick up as much litter as I can possibly carry, and also feed the mosquitoes, whilst I listen to Green Crime by Dr. Julia Shaw on my headphones to keep me entertained. This is my second book review of a book from the Wainwright Prize for Conservation Writing Shortlist of 2026. Before the winner is announced on the 17th of September, I'll be back to this humidal to listen to the audiobooks of the other shortlisted titles as I continue picking up as much litter as I can carry. Whilst we're here today, cleaning up litter, future Kaylee will tell you what I thought about the book. Anyone who has already read it all the way through will know why I felt particularly smug to be out doing my little bit for the planet as I read it. Dr. Julia Shaw is something of a phenomenon in popular science, so you've almost certainly heard of her or something she's done. Green Crime is her fourth book. It was published in England by Canongate Books in October 2025. It's 342 pages, or 8 3/4 hours listening time, of non-stop analysis of why people did some of the worst things humans have done to the environment. Shaw narrates the audiobook herself, and unsurprisingly does an amazing job. It's a combination of two things I love, the environment and true crime podcasts. Trigger warning though, this book references murder, human trafficking, enslavement, and basically every bad thing a human can do to nature. I had to cut out basically a whole paragraph of fangirling here, but take my word for it, Shaw is awesome and supremely qualified to take this somewhat unusual approach of applying criminal psychology to the people and organizations who are destroying the planet. Also, did you know that Dr. Jasmin Braun, played by Alexandra Maria Laura from the German drama series Acht Zeugen, is based on her? The introduction covers a lot of ground fairly quickly. However, Shaw's style of explaining means that although we hit the ground running, the touchdown is gentle. By page 4, we have already been introduced to the 6 pillars which facilitate green crime: ease, impunity, greed, rationalization, conformity, and desperation. These pillars are the framework through which we approach the 6 cases analysed in the book. If you've kept up with the news at all over the last decade, then you'll definitely be familiar with the headlines of each one, which brings home the simultaneous truths that green crime is both pretty high in the zeitgeist, but also that it is really common. Green crime takes a slightly different path though. Instead of just explaining what happened, this book deconstructs how and why. Environmental destruction can feel so enormous that it is difficult to understand how anyone could see how much harm they're doing, yet still continue doing it. Shaw's argument is essentially that there isn't only one explanation, but that systems, incentives, social pressures, and individual decisions make environmental crime not only possible, but necessary for some people in some places. Once you start looking for those 6 pillars, you start seeing them everywhere, which is useful because recognizing the conditions in which green crime occurs is so much more useful than just saying, "How could anybody do this?" The humidal I am currently cleaning is actually part of a massive wetland network, which has been the site of green crime. In the description, I've linked to a video by a local news network if you're interested in the details. But to my understanding, some of the land was sold with planning permission for a cabin, but then the buyer opened a landfill there instead. He allowed companies to dump tons of construction debris and household waste into the wetland. Wetlands are the most effective protection we have against tsunamis, so it's really alarming that the wetland which protects the residents of Chile's second biggest city has not always received the respect it deserves. This particular spot is less than 25 meters from a school playground. You can hear the children playing. And so it's a particularly stark example of the horrific standards we are setting for future generations and the problems we are setting up for them to deal with. It's also a pretty good representation of how much harder it is to undo environmental harm than it is to cause it. I'm out here picking up sacks of plastic bottles, tiny specks of polystyrene, and anything else which looks suspicious. It's laborious, time-consuming, and kind of frustrating. Especially when an entire truck full of litter can be dumped in the time it takes for me to pick up a single bag. I'm not going to go through the whole book chapter by chapter, but I do want to talk a bit about a couple of them. Chapter 2 is a harrowing account of the murders of indigenous activists Maria de Esperanto Santo and José Claudio Ribeiro da Silva. And whilst their story is specifically Brazilian, It immediately made me think of the indigenous environmental defenders everywhere else, including here in Chile. Violence against indigenous people is an aspect of the beef, mining, and logging industries that we generally prefer to ignore. Shaw tells us that indigenous peoples number around 370 million individuals, and that indigenous territories cover about 1/5 of the world's land. Yet their rights and their lives can be treated as a reasonable price to pay for economic development. That's one of the most uncomfortable things you'll be confronted with in this book. The people causing environmental damage aren't all cartoon villains, twiddling their moustaches and hatching their evil plans. They're rational, desperate people responding to incentives that are baked into the system. Many of them rationalize their crimes to themselves, whether they're highly educated German automobile engineers or virtually illiterate fishermen who think decimating the Antarctic harms no one except the penguins. That's where those 6 pillars become useful, and we keep coming back to them throughout the book. Shaw doesn't spoon-feed this to you, so you might find yourself flipping back and forwards if you're reading the book. With the audiobook, this wasn't always easy, especially if you find yourself preoccupied with trying to squish a mosquito or snap a particularly irksome piece of litter when something vital is being said.
I definitely need a net.
Or actually, maybe a canoe? Chapter 4 is about illegal fishing, focused on sea shepherd pursuing the thunder. If you've got this far into this book review, I feel pretty confident predicting that you'd enjoy Sea Shepherd's 2018 documentary film, Chasing the Thunder, if you haven't already seen it. Shaw discusses that case, but with more legal expertise and no dramatic musical score. This chapter also made me really curious about another book on this year's Wainwright shortlist, Every Last Fish. I'm hoping that will give me a deeper dive into overfishing, and I'm really interested to see whether reading that changes the way I think about this chapter from Green Crime. I'm currently expecting that to be the 4th video in this series, but the Libby waiting list controls my fate in that regard. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on Every Last Fish, or any of the other books on the shortlist for this year, you'll have to subscribe to come back when I get round to making their videos. And now I want to give you a word of warning before you start this book. It's fast-paced, well-researched, and accessible, but I think I would have enjoyed it a lot less if I hadn't been actively engaging in conservation at the time I listened. It's a hard read, and it might leave you feeling ashamed to be a human. Shaw has clearly tried to inject some optimism by talking about next steps, successes, and people who have made a difference. And it does work to some extent, but her optimism feels a bit more like a pep talk. So I came away feeling motivated, but in an, oh my god, there's so much work to do, we can't afford to waste a moment kind of way, rather than a, maybe things aren't as bad as I thought kind of way. My experience of listening to the book whilst cleaning this wetland changed the way I received it, because I wasn't just thinking about green crime as something that happens thousands of miles out to sea.
I'm back for day 2 of listening to Green Crime, here with Luna.
It's right here. I see it every day. So the book's central questions don't feel abstract in that context. I'm not wondering which charity to donate money to. I'm trying to pull together a plan to make my neighbours stop littering the humedal without getting myself into trouble. And for that, criminal psychology is a really useful lens to look through. It's fascinating to hear an expert explain something so well that you start seeing connections you hadn't previously noticed. And that did make me optimistic. People from all walks of life, with expertise in all manner of fields, and the opportunity to do basically anything, are all lending their skills to this fight, which is reassuring. And that brings me back to the thought I started the video with. The fight for our planet cannot be a war on the poor. We need to understand not just the people committing environmental crimes, but the systems that make those crimes profitable, possible, and even socially acceptable. The solution can't simply shift the burden onto the people who have the least power to carry it. Green crime made me uncomfortable, angry, and ashamed of humanity, but I didn't come away from it feeling hopeless. So, would I recommend it? Yes. If you're interested in conservation, environmental crime, psychology, criminology, or true crime, I think there is a lot here for you to get your teeth into. I'd particularly recommend the audiobook if you can tolerate listening to someone describe environmental catastrophes whilst you're simultaneously discovering just how much rubbish you can carry at once. If you're following this Wainwright shortlist series, definitely come back for the next one. It's going to be Eat the Planet Well. But in the meantime, it's time to answer the call. Become one of Earth's guardians.